All right. Welcome to the good stuff, the big episode 29.
29. See, we knew which episode it was this week. We did some homework. It's very
I think after covering the first sort of 20 minutes of the pod outside, leaning against the back of the van, looking at the beach, just going like, we should probably talk about this while we're recording.
We call it preparation, but really it's just pre-podcasting.
Pre-pod.
We should just be hitting record sooner. Some of the best alpha occurs off mic.
Maybe we should always have the mics on and always be recording.
Always be recording.
ABR. Yeah.
early takeaway from the episode already. Always be recording.
Yeah, I mean, although I don't like that.
It's
It's
true.
always be recording to
Yes.
like your local machine.
That's true.
Maybe, but otherwise it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got a few ideas for today, don't we?
Yeah, I think we've got a plan. Obviously, we're not going to stick to the plan for the full hour, but we'll start with a plan.
I mean, if we stick to it for 5 minutes, that's probably
I think that's solid.
quite special.
It's the best we can offer.
Yeah.
But I think the plan was to talk about vibe coding, and specifically, how do you go from zero to coding something? So, particularly like this weekend, I'm going to host a workshop at the Bitcoin Bush Bash in Busselton.
Very good.
If you're looking for something to do this weekend and you're a short flight away from WA, then feel free to fly on in and then drive on down to Busselton and look us up. But we're going to do a vibe coding workshop where my plan is to try and get sort of somewhere between 20 and 50 people, depending on how many bring machines and who's up for it, to create their own customized Bitcoin wallets from scratch in 30 minutes.
Very good.
And then, so that's the challenge that I've set myself, which is somewhat difficult, but there are things that I can do to make it easier that are kind of like normal like programming shortcuts where you just go and steal somebody else's thing that they've already done and then you put that together with this and then you add some stuff to it. So it will be legitimately like being a programmer. But it's hard to do something like that. Is what I realized is as I started to sort of think through it from that kind of beginner's mind, and I was like, well, they need to have like TypeScript and Bun installed on their machine if they're going to use this. So that's a thing. Like I guess I can tell everybody the night before, but what if they don't use terminals? Like, do they know how to clone a repo or anything?
This is friction.
Yeah, there's friction after friction after friction, which is, I think, has always been the way in software development. It's always like software development is in many ways like magic, in that like once you figure out the exact words to say, you can be very powerful.
Yeah.
But trying to get someone to teach you the exact words to say is very difficult because people like to keep this as like secret knowledge to themselves that they find it hard to teach, or it's just that they've been in the world for so long that they just don't know that you don't know it. Like it's hard for somebody that spends all their time talking to a computer like at the command line level to get them to appreciate that is just scary to most people in the world. They don't understand it.
Yeah, and their own path to getting to that stage is probably different, subjective as well. So the way you stack skills, the way those skills compound through learning, through experience, through building will be different for everybody as well. So like just because you're a good practitioner doesn't mean that you have like a very clear way of going and teaching that same set of skills back to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe where it gets a bit tricky. There's subjectivity baked in, and then I think you're right, there's an element of asymmetry that exists informationally, but also it depends on what you're building, right? Because oftentimes people set out to try and build something new, and so you don't necessarily have like an idea of like what the right founding path is. Like how do we get started on this thing that is entirely new? If you're going and building the nth version of something that already exists, then generally there's some established best practice around how to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe there's some also difficulty that lies in the unknown.
Yeah, it's always hard to do something you don't know how to do it. And as we talked about a bunch of times, right? Like AI is very useful here because it's very non-judgmental, and you can ask it, how do I do that? And this is like what I had to do, right? Like I've always been interested in becoming more hands-on with like development and software programming because I just wanted it for myself. I wanted to see problems and then go, I'm just going to fix that with an app for me. Like, I don't care if nobody else has this. I want this to work like this, and I want this thing. But I couldn't do it. Like, I just couldn't get into it. I'm not great at syntax. I'm not great at like the little details and the stuff. Like, I'm good at architecture and thinking through the problem and like how to structure stuff. But I was never good at the like execution, lower level stuff. And so I just never learned. And then every time I went to try and learn, I was like, it feels like everybody in this forum that's telling me this thing, they all assume that I know this stuff, so now I need to go and learn that. But everybody there assumes that I knew this other thing that was going on and this other thing before. And there's so many layers of like just stuff that is presupposed knowledge. Yeah. It was so hard to learn and to make any progress. But then all of a sudden the AI just sort of cut through that and it was like, oh, just type this.
Yeah. I think the key there though is that, like it dramatically changed like the learning surface area. Yeah. Like previously you'd maybe like start, like if you go back far enough, you might start with a book, and then you had like courses online and like, but like because we've talked about this. I used to have this problem where I'd basically get to a point where I'd write "Hello World" and then like the drop off after that was just significant. And in many respects, it was similar to like trying to learn French. It's like, oh, this is actually way harder than I thought it was.
And then it's then they say something back, and you're like, okay, yeah.
Don't know what you just said. And then they insult you a few times because you've just butchered their language, and before you know it, you've given
Fucking
up.
French.
And then you forget all of those things, and you go back 6 months later, and you're like, maybe this time it'll be different. Yeah. But the surface area was the same. The tools you had access to, the materials you could use. And it was also really dry, so it really depends like how you respond to those kind of learning materials yourself. So I just hated it. I hated that until I got to AI. It's like all of a sudden you've got your own tutor that's just working alongside you, that's infinitely patient. You can ask it the dumbest question in the world and it'll give you the answer. I mean, who knows? They might be judging us, but they don't sound like they're judging us.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is true. Like it has made it so much easier to learn to code, but then it's still like I still think it's not super normie friendly. Like when I look at the available tools and I say like, all right, if I want to take somebody from 0 to vibe code it in 30 minutes, like, can I?
Yeah.
And it's like, and you say, all right, well, go download Cursor. Right now you need to feel like, because that's probably one of the easier things to do to put on your computer. Okay, now you have like, you get your terminal, you get everything's going to be built in there, and we've got somewhere to work. You have a little agent. Now, I wouldn't ever do any work in Cursor myself, but that's a way to start.
That's where I started.
And so then, actually, so did I at one point. Yeah, it was just one of the easiest ways to do it a while ago. And so you could do something like that, but then you still have all the other problems around. Like, okay, I'm not a software engineer. Like, how do I? Yeah. What am I doing? What does this Git thing mean? What's this bit of why am I typing everything down here and not up here? Now, some of this is alleviated from the agents, because you can just say to the agent, right, I need this. This needs to be cloned into this environment. Go do it. You can have it run a lot of the Git stuff for you, which is quite nice. But like, it's still not obvious to me that even like setting up, do you get the agent to set up like all the frameworks and stuff that you need to be able to run the apps? It's like, nah,
it's like
you're not going to do it in 30 minutes. Like, this is like a longer period of time.
The big problem you've got as a normie is just not knowing what you don't know. Like, the vastness of the things you have no concept of at that point is just something you can't grapple with. Yeah. And so, like, the thing that really helped me was starting with a project in mind, and then using a language model as a navigator and a planner. Yeah. Like, that was always the most useful way for me to break through, because otherwise I just didn't know what the logical next step was, or even the logical first step. Like, you can get into Cursor, and you're like, great, now what?
So I think this works nicely for self-paced learning. But in 30 minutes, this is not self-paced learning.
This is not helpful.
Right? So my main realization there was, like, you need to be set up beforehand. And so you could have, like, some sort of workshop here where you say, all right, I will set up everything for you. And then I will give you access to somewhere where you can run this stuff. And you say, all right, well, that will resolve it, because I can just, in one place, just set up all the frameworks that we need, and all the agents can be set up, and all the API keys can be in place, and the rest of it. And then we can bring you in, and I just say, go to this link, and now you can use stuff. And to do that, you have a problem where like none of your agents are actually, nothing's like web ready, right? It's all, everything natively is just like, it's on your command line, because if it's not as powerful as if it is. So makes sense that that's where they are. But again, that's weird for most normal people. They don't want that. Or you have to download an app locally. If you do anything on your own machine, you've got all the problems of just complexity of managing it. But then if you try and put it on like one machine that's somewhere else, well then like how do you give everybody access to something like that? So that was kind of painful. So I think that takes us back to like a conversation from a couple of weeks ago, which was like, do I need like a Wingman multiplayer? Because Wingman solves a lot of these problems for me. Yeah. And I run it on one machine. And I thought, so I've come up with some ideas for how I can do like a simplified multiplayer in Wingman. And so I effectively would have one Wingman machine, probably hosted in the cloud, so everybody can get access to it. Once people are in, like with some authentication, probably Nostr based, so it's nice and lightweight. So you generate some keys, you can get in, I can approve you to access the sessions and then turn you off afterwards, which would be important. Yes. If you're going to put this stuff live. Then once you're in Wingman, I realized that, okay, you can get access to the agents and that's cool. And I can then design this environment. But it also means that like for any little rough edge, I can just solve it in 5 minutes. And so yesterday I had a bit of time going through so Wingman has like now like a bunch of new features where it can run apps inside the Wingman as well. So it'll start anything that you build, it can then start and host locally, because again, it's all on this one machine and this machine's accessible from anywhere. So that works nicely. But it also has like file browsers and file editors and things. So again, like usually when you're going for a terminal and you want to just edit a file, you're into kind of Vim world. And if you like that sort of thing, you really like that sort of thing. But you know, most people don't. This is not how most people interact with anything in the world. Yeah. So even just having like nice, simple ways to get in and look at your code, because sometimes you need to go look at the code. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to change like an environment variable or something like this. So like now we've got all the.
Does some of this get solved by, like, you know, you've got Claude Code on the web now? I haven't actually used it, in fairness. It doesn't.
Claude Code on the web is what Codex on the web was 6 months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is less useful than Claude CLI. So I originally thought they were doing some magic back to your own machine, but it's really just it will spin up its own. Like, go get your repo, download it, run it locally. It's the sort of thing that sounds like it should be good, and isn't. Yeah. It's a solid mid-curve approach. Yeah. It's the thing that works so well, which is maybe this will bring us on to another topic that we're going to talk about, was the thing that works really well is if the agent just owns the machine. Yeah, of course. And it's like these are agents and they need agency, and it's like saying, I don't know, like you need a space to do stuff. You need somewhere to write stuff down and have comments and work on things, and it's just more useful to have 20 different code bases available to all of the code that you're working on available to all of your agents at all the time. It sounds like it's not. It's like, and I just go download the repo that I need. It's like, nah, maybe. But it's really nice to have like every plan you've ever written available to these things, and you can just reference any other code base that you've used before, and it can just go and look at it, and then it can edit stuff. Like these things are, I don't know why, but it definitely works better when you just give over a whole machine to these things. Yeah,
it's like it's like an extension of your hand using the CLI, or it's like having an entire central nervous system if you're using Wingman.
Yeah, you have all the bits that
you would ever need. All the bits that you connects with everything, basically. Yeah. I guess my thinking about, say, Claude Code on the web, part of, and again, I haven't played around with it because I just quite enjoy being in the CLI. But I was wondering if this was a move to basically like bridge just the regular language model and then getting people into the CLI, if there was like a necessary like half step there to get people more accustomed to it. Because if you're not technical, then jumping into the CLI is just like, oh, what do I do?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like,
so I wonder if that was...
I think it does that.
Yeah.
But it's just...
But then also the question we're talking about is like, do you even need to make that leap, you could just go straight to giving these agents their own system.
I mean, I think that's the correct way to
Yeah. But it's also like the way we've gotten here organically as well, by like taking all of the different paths and missteps and learnings and, you know, and then like kind of re-architected back a way that we think works. But yeah, I think from their perspective, they're probably just thinking, how do we get more people into the CLI to use Claude Code? And maybe it's a leap for a lot of people.
I think for them, it's not even that they want people in the CLI. They see that Claude Code in the CLI is their agent, and this is a way to like sell it,
to get it used,
so that you can just use it from your phone. And it does, like, as I said, I can see why you would do this. I can see why the business case stacks up in a larger company. I can see why it sounds like it's great. Like it looks, oh yeah, it's Claude Code, but I don't have to do any of the stuff. And it's like, it just means that you're going to lose a lot of the power, because you're still in this like weird sandbox environment that is on somebody else's computer.
Yeah.
And so, you know, one of the reasons to give these things their own computer is that then they can do whatever they want, because it's their computer, because it doesn't have any of your crap on it. But it does. It has all the stuff that they might want to do that it's been doing itself, but it doesn't have any of your secret information on the laptop, or the desktop, or whatever it is that you put it on. And that's important, because these things can exfiltrate any information they want off that machine. And there's not really anything you can do to lock it down, because as soon as you allow them to write programs, they can get anything that they want out of it, just like write it into a new text file. So that's an issue. But
yeah, in the same way I wouldn't necessarily expect my coworker to use my laptop to do their work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they need that space to do stuff. Now, when you do that in something like Claude Code on the web, or Codex, which again was like this a few months ago, and I tried using it a bunch, but I don't know what it is, but it just, like, I really like both Claude Code and Codex, like on my computer with me directing them what to do. Yeah. It being interactive, but like when you try and do it in this like extra sandboxed environment, which is, here's a version of my computer that you've tried to set up on the fly that doesn't quite work correctly, or I've forgotten, like, unless I spend like an extra 2 days thinking about like the deployment and my DevOps style, it just won't run correctly, because there'll be a bunch of stuff that I've just like added on the fly in the environment variables I've just forgot about. Then I can't put that on GitHub, because then it's going to break everything. So you've got no idea how to set up any of the environment variables. You can't do anything with any of the cryptography stuff. So it just, like, a lot of stuff kind of breaks and doesn't really work. And it sounds great. And I feel like a lot of people that will talk about it are people that you can almost look at them and go, you don't use this, because it doesn't work like this.
Yeah.
What you've done is you've taken what the company said on its press release for how it maybe would work, and it might work like that if you employ a DevOps person, and then you've just lied, said it should work like this, and they're like, it'll sound good, it won't work, it's too complicated, it's mid-curve.
Yeah. Interesting.
The right-hand side of the curve guy, he may do something like this. He probably doesn't. He probably just runs it on his own computer. But it's like, whenever like this is a quote of Gigi's, I think, was that, you know, we always want to be the guy on the right, and inevitably when we try and do that, we end up being the guy in the middle. Yeah, it's much easier just to give in and be the guy on the left. That's it. Because you come to the same answer anyway. Yeah. So don't try too hard. Don't overcomplicate it. Just stay on the left side of the bell curve. Go from there.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, on Claude Code and Codex, because I obviously use both in tandem, and I quite enjoy pitting them against each other on the same project sometimes, and just have them running in tandem. But I must admit, and this is purely personality, but maybe this applies for most normies, because I mean, really what we're describing is how to go from 0 to Andy in 30 minutes, which is, again, it's not a great threshold to try and reach.
I don't know if they'll be Andy level, but
well, it's very kind. But I find the like personality differences across Claude Code and Codex will dictate how much I want to use it. So, and it's because I think Claude Code has a knack of like really talking about what it's doing and what it needs to, like, what it's looked at, what it needs to fix. You've got like this running commentary of what it's doing, and you can track that, and you can take it on board, and you can think about it alongside. Claude Code.
Yeah.
Codex will just think about the thing for ages, and then it will spit out like a very structured, detailed, technical heavy response. And often I'll sit there going, what did you just say? Just put this back into plain English for me.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I love Codex. I think it's great. It's great at what it does. But if I really want to like understand what's going on, I find there's less friction with Claude Code. And so I wonder if that's also like relevant for normies who are just getting started with this as well.
Probably. And there's definitely like, I mean, you can tune all this as well, right? So you could have you could change the personality inside the agent's MD or Claude MD, because Claude hasn't moved over to the standard yet, which is frustrating. Or you could do, like, I don't know, like I remember like Paul's like Claude quote had something like said, you know, your name's Claude, but you're not French Claude. You're American Claude. American Claude works all summer long. Yeah. You do 80 hours a week, and you work hard, and you get stuff done. It's like, yeah, it probably is going to work a lot better with that, something like that in there. So you can have that sort of stuff.
You can, but normies aren't tuning this stuff, right? They're just getting started. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, this is one of the things I was looking at with I was like, okay, well, I mean, one way to set all this stuff up is to have like a starter project that you can just clone from GitHub. And so, okay, here's a starter project. You put this link in here, or it's just a button in Wingman.
Yeah.
We click the button to say bootstrap project, and it'll just bring it all in.
Yeah.
And we go, okay, here's your starter project. Now we're going to go from here, and you're going to start doing the coding. But in there will be the agent profile. The other thing I found with Codex is I leave for the model selection, I take the Codex model, but I turn the thinking to low. It's like, I do not want you to think, I've already thought about this.
Yeah.
Like, I can get, like, sometimes I'll turn it back up if I want it to, like, really consider something, but it is more than enough thinking. Yeah. And, like, when it goes off and tries to think hard, I'm like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is going to take hours.
Yeah. Especially if you've done that work up front, you know, if it's got, like, a detailed set of docs to work from as scaffolding, then you just don't need it to spend that time.
Yeah, I mean, I like to do the thinking on the fly. It's that, like, I will come up with an idea, I will break it up in my head to a few next steps, and I'll try and do the minimum next thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll see, I'll do that, and then I'll see it, and then I can decide if that was correct or not. Sort of thing. That works quite nicely. And so
that's actually, like, in and of itself, like, a massive breakthrough. If you think about it, like, how much did we just retain from a like technical debt perspective, because we just spent a bunch of time building out something. Yeah, it's just like, well, it's just going to have to stay like this now, because, you know, maybe it could be improved, maybe we don't love it, but we've just spent like 3 months just writing all this code to make it look this way. Yeah, that in and of itself is such a breakthrough, because you can just experiment so much more, so much faster, and that's great if you are like getting started. Like for me, like, I go through this all the time, where I just want to visualize the thing, see it on the screen, play with it. And oftentimes it'll be like, oh, it's not quite what I had in, or it is exactly what I had in mind. And then I'm like, this doesn't work the way I kind of wanted it to. And then I'll go through another kind of process of thinking about how I'd like it to work and improve upon it. That would have been just so complex previously to work through, to navigate through, and so time consuming, and all of this technical debt just gets baked in.
Yes. I mean, it's good to know you can throw stuff away as well. Like, even like, so I use Wingman a lot. Like, it's probably like 3 months old as a concept, and like the first 2 months were on V1, and the last month has been V2. And I looked at V1 the other day, and I was like, God, this looks like, what is this thing? Like,
that's French Claude making an appearance.
It's just like, and it was a kind of it was very quick to like get back up to feature parity. It was like a week, but a week where I was in 3 different countries and solo parenting a couple of kids. And I more or less brought it back up into feature parity, and then moved it on to like set up what I was going to do next. And then the last couple of weeks I've just been like playing around the edges with a few things that they're kind of big concepts to add. So I'll try bits and then pull them out, and then try bits and pull them out, sort of thing. And like, but yeah, it's amazing that you can just take, once you know what the thing is and how it looks, and you know what you're doing, all of a sudden you can move very quickly and stuff. So back to the workshop then, right? So
there's the anchoring.
So step 1 is like, okay, well, how do we give somebody a space? So if you've already got your own space set up and you're used to building stuff, then fine, bring along your laptop and we can do this sort of stuff live. You just make sure you've got an agent set up. Now that's difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Then, all right, so if they don't, then we need to be able to give them that. So now I'm going to have Wingman be multiplayer. And I'll say you go to the Wingman, and I'll log you in. I'll give you access to the agent. I click a button, now you can access the agent. Cool. All right. So now we have people that are in there and they have access to the agents, but they need to start the project. So I think the next thing that you need to look at is like, how do you bootstrap the projects? So again, like any developer, you never really, well, it's not true. No, it's probably is true. Like almost all software development never starts from zero. You're almost always using some other library or something else that's almost packaged. So there's no thing wrong with just going to a website and grabbing like a starter project and going like, all right, let's download this and I'll work on this and move it. I think a lot of the fun in software engineering and building stuff and that breakthrough moment is when you realize that there's something that looks like this and then you do something that now looks like this and that is what you wanted. Like that's such a huge payoff for people that I think what we can do is we can take something that just doesn't work but has a couple of the library components in it that are again pre-compiled so you don't have to do it. You can set a couple of variables in there and then all of a sudden you'll have something that barely works and then we can start customizing it from there. And I think I can do that's pretty, like Wingman's built for that. So I think as long as I can get everybody into Wingman, we can do that, and you can probably do this from your phone because even all the like you can access terminal stuff via Wingman. It's one of the most used features that I use it for. It's just useful to get there. But the other thing is there's actually buttons in there to do all the common stuff that you need to do anyway. So it'll be like following a wizard to get your project set up, get everything cloned down, copy the files that you need, bootstrap all the scripts that you need to run. Like all of that will be there. And then I thought, deployment. Like, am I going to have to deploy like 50 apps? That sounds horrible. And I was like, all right, well, there's also one of the things that's more annoying when I'm working from my phone is, all right, how do I restart stuff? How do I start stuff, stop stuff? Like, how do I deploy a new app? And I was like, well, maybe, I mean, most of this stuff is all scripted anyway. It's just that I interact with it via the CLI. So then I yesterday built like a whole app launcher framework inside Wingman, which is fairly shit at the moment, but it'll be good enough by the weekend. Like, you know. And so from that, you'll be able to go in and say, okay, this is my coding project. Start it. And then when you start it, you'll get the port number, which is basically going to give you a URL that you can go to. And you go to that URL and you will have your Bitcoin wallet and it will run. And it will be the one that you've made in your coding session that is unique to you. Which I think will be quite a revelation to a lot of people that have never made anything like this before.
Completely.
So we'll have that. And then the question is, okay, well, then what about all the back-end components? And then again, like I have another project that a friend of mine did that I can just, I forked and then added a setup script to, so it's much easier to just go, all right, we grab that one as well, and we run this, and then we get this number. This number is going to be everything we need. We put that number in this number, bang, now it's going to work. And I reckon we'll be able to get a bunch of these things live.
Definitely.
Within half an hour.
That's what's interesting, I think, from like a workshopping perspective is the time limit. It's 30 minutes is a constraint, but it's also the opportunity. Like if you think about how we try to teach a lot of this stuff, especially through workshops, whether they're kind of online or in person, they're often like, this goes for half a day or a day, or like, a course might take you like weeks.
You could spend half a day getting to Hello World.
Exactly.
You need to set up the fucking environment.
But I think like what you're trying to achieve in 30 minutes, the opportunity is to like condense the feedback loop to the point where you just see a thing that you've built. And so if you can mitigate a lot of those like smaller those smaller architectural steps that would bog someone down, then you can you get to a point where at the end of half an hour you've seen this thing that you've built, and it's like that's perfect because now you've planted that, you've lit that fire in them, which is the thing you never get from any of these courses and workshops, because you tend to just drop out well before that moment occurring. And the moment needs to be it needs to be like sufficient to spark that fire. Like that, like app formation is going to be massive, especially in the, you know, the group that you're actually doing this in.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Bitcoin.
you know, and I've picked my app to be something that they're going to care about.
They're going to care about that, right? Whereas Hello World is just like quite arbitrary to pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you see it and you're just like, yep, cool, all right. Can we do something better? You know, like it is never enough to like fully motivate you to go to push on. And I think that's like what's really interesting about it. You've got half an hour. You need to get to an end state.
Well, there's something we said earlier, which was that, like, you know, software is a bit like magic, in that it's literally a set of written down words that, if you say them correctly, causes things to happen. There's magic. That's a spell. Is what we used to call that.
Yeah.
And it's almost a shame that there's only, like, you know, 1% of the people in the world can write spells for themselves. It's like you know, it's like you used to be very busy and then you write your spell and now you're less busy. like why would you not want that?
This is Hogwarts inequality.
Well, yeah, like, it's Hogwarts for everyone.
Yeah. Just let's democratize
Spells
Hogwarts
for everyone.
Yeah.
But it is like a magic power. Like it'd be great to know this.
Yeah.
I mean, this has always been my motivation for wanting to be able to code. It's just it was just too difficult. And then now I'm like, all right, I can do this. I can do this all day long. I can solve any of my problems I need. Even to build this, like, you know, this like workshop system into Wingman is like, it's not the stated purpose of Wingman, which is the purpose of Wingman is it will run businesses for other stuff.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's the purpose of it. But to do that, it needs a bunch of stuff. And some of the things that it needs are, you know, it needs files and browsers, and we need to be able to see what's going on. We need to be able to read reports that it puts out. So we need access to files, and then we're going to need access to apps, because not everything is an orchestration and a workflow. Yeah. So there will always be some extra apps. So do we go buy those? No. Do we? Fuck. Like we've got our own software development part of the business. It will just make custom apps, and then it may as well run them itself.
That's it.
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, so I've got apps, I've got orchestrations, I've got processes, I've got workflows, I've got file systems. I've got all the bits that you needed in a business. Yeah. And then we just need to put them together. Yeah. But it's also makes it very nice for running workshops.
Completely. But like that subjectivity is important as well, because I think most people in their day-to-day, if they're not a programmer, they have some sense of what they need. And then part of the challenge is communicating what they need to a programmer. But that often doesn't occur because there's no cost benefit to actually going building the tool for like an audience of one inside the enterprise. So you tend to just buy stuff that exists off the shelf. Yep. And then you're basically, you know, having to force your own business through those like predefined deterministic funnels. Yep. So this is just like, I don't know, I feel like this is a forcing function for your business, because now you have like carte blanche to just build the things that you need inside of your own business that is built around your own subjective experience and knowledge. I think that's really powerful. And also, like, we've just removed a lot of those constraints that existed around needing to be a programmer to actually go and execute on it. So it feels like the workshop is a great way to plant that seed, and then the logical next step is you need to be running your business on Wingman. It's a leap, but...
Well, I mean, I think there's, you know, potentially multiple workshops that we could
probably
do.
A few. There's probably a few in between. Yeah.
So, you know, maybe we talk about that on the pod as well. Like, so this is like one we're doing. Like, I'm going to be doing this down at Bush Bash over the weekend. Yeah. It's been a bit of a forcing function for me to just go, okay, well, how do I step back for a minute and then come back at this as like with my beginner's mind and try and figure out, where are all the rough corners here? Like, how can I make this better? And it will be better. And I'm fairly certain I can get this to a point that it works. To the point where I announced it loudly on Nostr yesterday to try and, like, force myself to have to do it now. Yeah. So, but I think we're going to get some good stuff out of it. I think we'll have a whole bunch of wallets running. Like, we'll keep them all up over the weekend. People can... I mean, just the idea that you knowing nothing can create something from scratch, put money in it, and then use that money to buy stuff. You know, if need be, you can buy some biltong off me. Like, I will sell you biltong for Bitcoin over the weekend. And then and you will do it with something that you made. Like, it's just, you don't get that opportunity very often. And I hope it's going to really like hit people in that way of like, oh shit, this is, because everybody, you hear just dissenting opinions, and they say like, oh, AI is great and it's amazing and it's going to take all of our jobs and it does all this, and then you have somebody else that says like, oh no, it's nothing and it's not useful and it's all nonsense and everything that it creates in code is terrible and it doesn't work. And you go, I don't know, how do I pass these two opinions that are just rage baity? And you go, well, the way you pass any opinion is that you fucking do it yourself.
Do it, yeah.
And you figure out what's real and what's not. And then I think if you go from, you can say like, yeah, this probably isn't perfect code. But I just spent money from a wallet that I made myself, so fuck you. Like, it's just, it's crazy. Or I now run my own to-do app that's on my machine that does exactly what I wanted it to do, unlike the 5,000 others that I've had. Like, we can just build all of these things for yourselves. Like, that's why the software thing, I think, is like, if you really want to understand AI, it's the thing to do, because it's just where all the tools are, a lot of the thinking, like a lot of the stuff has been made easy for you there. It really is the gateway. It's kind of like gateway drug that then makes you go, oh shit, completely. If I can do this, then I could learn this, or I could do this process. It's just, and then it really just comes down to mapping all of those processes into the tools.
Yeah, you start like stacking skills as well based on the things that you've built. I mean, I've talked about this on this podcast a heap, you know, like there's, I mean, I almost feel like there is no technical constraint on what I feel like I could undertake now. Whereas even like a couple of months ago, I would definitely approach certain things with trepidation. I'd be like, there's probably a lot of technical complexity here. But now I just approach it and I'm like, yeah, okay, there is technical complexity. I'm going to learn it. I'm just going to figure it out. And I have all the resources at my disposal to go and figure it out. So it's just time and application. And that's really powerful because that's just agency. But sometimes you need the self-belief, the kick in the backside to just go, yeah, you know what, I can just go and do the thing. But that binary you described, that's just all noise. And most of it like comes from vested interests, like some people who are like actually just concerned about what it means for their job security, and wanting to like reinforce the kind of the notion that you need to have gatekeepers around this stuff. That's gonna happen. That's fine. People are gonna do that. But yeah, you can also just dive in and experiment.
You know how there's this like distribution of people on, say, like social media or Twitter or something, which is like 90% of people just lurk, and then there's like 10% of people will like reply and stuff, and then there's like 1% of people which doesn't work out maths wise, but there you go.
Thereabouts.
AI told me about it. Then that actually, like, there's the 1% that then actually pump out all the content and all the stuff. And I think there's probably like a similar thing of when it comes to AI, there's like 90% of the people just that have opinions on this stuff don't use any of it. Like, they don't even use the simplest of the tools. Although they've used ChatGPT once or something, but there's no effort at all. They just regurgitate opinions on what it is. I think this is of the like 3% of people that are pumping out all the social media content. They don't use it. They don't know anything about it, and it's immediately obvious when you spend your time in it that like this is like a skin deep opinion. Like, you do not know what you're talking about. There's a completely lacks nuance. And then you have the people that, or maybe it's the other way. Maybe there's like most people just don't do it and don't talk about it. Then you have the people that are like skin deep of using it. I feel like I've shot my point a little bit.
We are super early though, which I think is the broader point. Like, I mean, I've talked to people recently, like as recently as like last week, and I mentioned Claude. Like, and I don't even mean Claude Code. I mean Claude, like the desktop app, and they never heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And it's like, like, because it forces like you to think about like where you spend your time as well. Like, I'm just like, I live in a little like bubble here as well, where I'm just trying to go as deep as possible into all of the tools and all of the technologies, and like, most people, like, they've heard of ChatGPT, and that's their like sole understanding of AI. And so I just think we're just so early. So that's why I think these kinds of workshops are actually really valuable. It's discovery in and of itself, and then it's, again, within that constrained time frame of half an hour. I mean, most people don't even have like the ability to think about something for half an hour anymore, because we're just swiping on the phone all the time. So half an hour is nice, and then you've got this like immediate
Well, that's
speed
like
back.
the super speed run. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the correct way to do this is, I was discussing this with the wife yesterday because she's very good at workshops and education and is, you know, a bit of a pro in this area.
Has written a book recently.
Has written a book recently, notionally on AI. It's not really on AI. It's actually about just critical thinking.
Yes.
Then using AI to sell it. Clever.
It was very good. Yeah, I enjoyed
But
it.
there is some, you know, there is notion of AI there. And so, yeah, and like, you know, what she was saying was like, yeah, like if you know, first of all, it needs to be fun. So I think the goal of like this sort of workshop is, what you want to do is you want to take somebody from thinking that they didn't have a skill to realizing they now have a skill. Like that's the thing that's the sell, as it were. It's like you used to be like, so this is a meme. It's like you were Mario, and then there was the magic flower, and now you're Mario with superpowers. And so what we need to do is say, look, yeah, this is the magic flower, but guy, you could be Mario with superpowers. You know, you're invulnerable and you can charge through walls and you just run through the enemies. Like that could be you.
Yeah.
All you need to do is just do it.
Yeah.
Like Jeff said, you know, the gel doors open. You just like walk out and you got superpowers. Like it's just there. Like let's go do it. So we can do that. So that's the goal. And then the question is, how do you get there? And it's like, well, first of all, it just needs to be fun.
Yeah.
Like this needs to be more fun than going to the office. When she was like, all right, and then start at 9:30 and finish at 2:30, so that anybody that's got kids can come along. And I was like, perfect. I like that because that's better for me as well. And just generally, like, just taking the edge off the day. So if you want to do a bit of extra work, do a bit of extra work. You've got time. If you don't. You could probably book it out as a whole day.
Yeah.
Have a nice workshop. And then you put it in, like, a nice environment. And you don't do it in an office.
Yeah.
You put it in, like, a nice club or a nice house or something.
Yeah.
You have good food. You don't have just stodgy chips and party pies sort of thing. You know, you actually just treat people properly with a bit of respect. And then you give them a few breakthrough moments. And so you might have, let's say, we can vibe code something in half an hour in this workshop stuff. It's gonna be nicely set up.
Yeah.
And what we might do is like you do like your half-hour drop, your 1 hour, and then another hour in the afternoon. But then you give a lot of time and space for people to start experimenting with this thing.
Yeah.
And then you let them take it home afterwards. And so we talked through this yesterday. I was like, you know what? I can make this happen. Like it doesn't natively work like this, but I could see why that would be good. And then, you know, we're about to go into like silly season in WA where like nobody's got any work on. What a great time to go and learn how to
Go and experiment.
vibe code with computers.
Yeah.
And when we say vibe code, like vibe coding's got a bit of a,
Yes.
it's kind of like one of those terms where it just like
It's a
to
bit
some
loaded.
people it means AI slop. To most reasonable like software programmers are like, yeah, this is just like you're just using, it just means using AIs to vibe code stuff. So don't get turned off by that as a term. It doesn't mean that you are the next like star developer, but it does mean that you could sit down in front of a computer and create. And creating things is just the best feeling in the world. And I think if you can create stuff that you could never create before, you know, why would you not want to learn that?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And that, as I said, the feedback loop is really important because it becomes, like, as work starts to feel more like play, then all of a sudden, like, the act of doing it becomes dopaminergic. You want to do more of it. You want to create more. You want to push the boundaries. It starts to compound in weird ways. I mean, that's been my personal experience, I think, certainly the last 6 months. It's just continued to compound to the extent where sometimes I'm like, oh, I actually should rein it in a little bit and try and be a little bit more productive in like dedicated ways rather than just playing and experimenting. But for me, it's all learning, so I don't care. I think it's all valuable. But yeah, it's like, how do you get that first? It's like starting the avalanche. You know, it's just a tiny pebble that starts to roll off the top of the mountain, and then it picks up speed and velocity and it turns into something like really powerful. But
yes, that's the thing to be aware of, is this is kind of addicting. Like realizing that you can just pick up new skills and like how to do it and having like the tools to do it. it can get you focused. Oh shit, I can do this, and then you just spend your time doing that. But
do you know the other thing? I've been guilty of thinking about this as well. Like, I think a lot of people just will have this view where you think of programming as a young person's game. It's like, oh, I didn't play with computers when I was a kid. You know, I didn't start coding as a kid, because like the zeitgeist is built around like these personalities that were basically whiz kids from age 5 or younger, who knows. And so a lot of people have this like barrier in their mind. It's just like, I can't pick this up now, it's too late because I didn't do it when I was younger. And I just think this like completely destroys this notion. You can just stack these skills now, and it's wonderful, and it's empowering, and it's addictive, and there's no barrier anymore. Like, you can just stack these skills.
And it's fun.
It's fun.
You know, like it's just almost all joy in humans comes from the process of creation. It's not even like the created thing. Yeah. You know, like it's, whether it's like art or music or whatever, it's actually in creating the music or creating the art or the process that you go through. Like, that's where all the learning is. It's where all the joy is. Like, when you get, it's like, you go run a marathon. Like, it's the week after you run a marathon is the saddest you'll ever be. Because you've just run a marathon and now you don't have anything to do. And then you'll sign up for another marathon because you don't, you're like, shit, how do I get back to that? Because you realise that it was in the doing of the thing that you actually, interestingly, I'll announce it on here. I'm going to do a marathon next year.
There we go.
I haven't done one for quite a while. I've got quite a few under my belt, but I'm so far out of training. I was like, look, I need to
commit.
Yeah, so it'll either be maybe Brisbane or Gold Coast next year.
Nice.
So it'll be June or July time, depending on what I can get into and set up. But
very good.
Yeah, I'm going to knock out
Huge.
a marathon, so I'm going to be
nice.
Yeah,
I like it. Just dropping all of the announcements. This is the place for the
So we're going to have some workshops, we're going to have some marathons if you want to join the club.
Yeah.
So I am going to build, so I also started a new, so I now own a cool new domain.
Oh yeah?
Ambulando.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Which is going to be a drop-in Strava replacement.
Ooh.
That works on Noster.
Oh yeah.
So I was like,
that's nice.
if I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to have to build myself a social network of friends that are going to help me, and ideally send me sats for for completing runs.
Yes.
So I was like, well, that doesn't really exist properly on Noster yet, so I'll just knock that out on the side.
I like that.
And
That's
then build
nice.
that out. So I think I've got Ambulando.io and Ambulando.xyz.
That's good. Yeah.
So that will be the new setup for that one.
Very good. You see, you can just experiment, build stuff for yourself. I love it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as soon as you build it on something like Nostr as well, like it's so much simpler.
Yeah.
You get all the social networking for free. Everybody already has a profile. Everybody can already send you money.
Yep.
Like, all you need to do is tell them about it.
Yeah.
And like, I can push, like, it's like if you had Strava, like it pushes all your stuff automatically into Twitter.
Yep.
Sort of thing. Like, you know, it's just.
Yep.
It's good.
That's a great idea. I like that one.
Yep. Yeah, this was yesterday's. I was out for a run yesterday. So I was like, right, I need to just start running again. Like, it's just, and so, I stopped halfway through and I was like, I can build a little Bitcoin social club on Noster for this. That would help.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So then we'll have Ambulando, Beacon, Supply Drop, Off-Piste.
We've got a few. I mean, there's probably like 4 or 5
Wingman.
Little ventures that are starting to take shape in the venture studio.
Yeah.
And of course, the goal is to have all of these things just running on Wingman.
Well, and Wingman is the most useful thing that I have ever built, and it's now to the point where, like, in Wingman V1, I would be like 50-50 between Wingman and other tools that I would be using. Yeah. Like, now I'm using Wingman all the time, and the only thing that would annoy me is, like I was saying this morning, like, it's like, when I need to restart Wingman, I don't have Wingman anymore, and I lost so I'd use Wingman to make changes to Wingman, but then if I restarted Wingman, I lost the context of the change that I just made. And I was like manually copy and pasting stuff, and I was like, this is such bullshit.
It's Wingman amnesia.
So now I wrote like a little Wingman manager that Wingman fires up that then will allow it to restart itself while keeping all of its context and all of the agents there and stuff. And I was like, nice.
You want those little artifacts, don't you? I mean, businesses run off artifacts. You know, like a lot of it's just information flows that you then store points in artifacts and then you return
we get this
to
for
them.
free by having a computer.
Yeah.
Which is that, like, you know, if you want to try and, even if you run a server for something, like you can get, depending on who you buy them from, you can get big servers. But often they come with very little in the way of like file storage and stuff that you have available to yourself. Whereas if you just have a computer, computers have got tons of storage, and then you can just plug in another drive. You know, plug in another USB drive, now you got an extra couple of terabytes on there, and there's almost no cost to it.
Yeah.
And so you just get all of that for free, if you want, and then you can just back it up to somewhere else if you need to. Like it's very useful to have the whole drive. And then,
agreed.
I mean, even like just using it for like web browsing, what you realize is that you can browse the web from a terminal session. Like you wouldn't ever, because it's crap. But you can use the terminal to just hit web pages and get the response back, and then just read through the response. So if you want to use a lot of these agents, like you don't need like an MCP server that browses the web for you, because you can natively just say, you know, it'll hit this, like it'll hit a Google search as though it's a browser, get back the results, and then just go to every web page and just read it. And it can just do it natively.
Yeah.
And like, there you go.
That works. Yeah.
Like you can do almost everything. Like it's quite amazing what you can get done.
Yeah.
And if you don't even need, because for the agents as well, like, they don't need a UI. Like they're better when they're working in code. So they can have little apps for themselves that just take data and transform it into other data.
Yeah.
And then just drop it in a JSON file or something like that. And then if that appears, so one of the other things we have in Wingman, which I think is going to be the major building block, is just file watchers. So you can just say, right, when a new file comes into this folder, do this, or look at the contents of the file, and based on the contents of the file, do this, sort of thing. And then all of a sudden you have almost like all the workflows that you had that were just person does something, emails a file over here to this person.
Yeah.
They're all now just Wingman actions. It's like one agent spins up, does a bunch of research, creates something, writes it into a file, and then puts it in the folder for the next person. And that person's not even awake yet, but as soon as that file hits, they're awake. And now they do their action, and then they put it into the next folder. And if you think about like all these different like, I don't know, process management tools and like workflow things, it's like, is it easier to just describe everyone's job and say like what file they get in and what file they put out, or is it easier to map a whole process of like all the stuff where you're zooming in and out, following it around?
Yeah.
It's like, I just think keep it left curve.
Well, it's frictionless as well. I mean,
Keep it left curve would be a good T-shirt.
Yes.
With the good brain developer on the back.
Supply drop. I like. Yeah, it's around the circular text around the grub brain. It's good. Just coming up with more supply drop designs right here on the pod.
We need to. I'd like to make some and just because I would like some new T-shirts.
Yes.
So,
again,
can I just make some T-shirts?
It is self-serving going into summer. That's coming soon. We haven't really dropped that at all.
What, summer?
No, obviously. Well, summer is
depends
here.
Depends where you are.
Depends where you are.
It is today.
It's probably
30 degrees today.
Probably
Nice.
quite far off for a lot of people, but no, supply drop's something we haven't really spoken too much about. Actually, we should talk about how we get we build that into build Nostr into that as well, because it'd be good to accept sats for some of the stuff, so we can explore that. But yeah, I mean that as well. That was like a side quest. You know, it was like a 5-minute thought bubble. It's like, yeah, we should actually just build this out.
So for Beacon, I built like a little Nostr wallet connect based wallet manager that could do sub wallets and various different things. So I reckon we could just use that.
Yeah,
It has an API.
That works.
And you can just request invoices for an amount every time anybody requests something. Be easy.
I like it. Yeah, let's do that. It is kind of insane as well when you think about. There's maybe five different like products or like essentially ventures sat in the venture studio at the moment. I mean that's insane. I mean like there would have been a time where people would just be like, oh, you only really have bandwidth for like one thing.
We
Maybe
should
a
launch
side quest.
some so people can give us money.
Well, that's true. Yeah, coming soon. But it is also quite crazy when you start thinking about
Yeah.
how much it enables, how much leverage there is. Like that's powerful. And I do think that's where like the non-technical mind will gravitate to once they shorten that feedback loop and they start to see what's possible, and they'll start to imagine what's possible, and they can then see the path to executing it as well. I think that is going to be a really powerful driver for the next few years.
I also started building this, while we're on just random projects as well. Like I put together a first pass of Teddy Fashion Boutique.
Oh yeah, good.
For the kids, and then for me and the boy were playing like a game of Warhammer over the weekend, and I was bemoaning how annoying it is to try and get hold of all the stats for stuff these days. And so before, like in the morning before we played at like 11 o'clock, I just asked Wingman to come build me a version of it. I just went to this dodgy site and just like got a bunch of stuff and just chucked it into Wingman and said, can you just put all this in a database, and I want to be able to select all the things that I want, and then I want a single page that just lists all the stuff that's correct. And it was like, and he just like went off for a couple of hours or an hour or so, and then came back and stripped all the stuff out, the PDFs, and built this whole website. I was like, nice.
Yeah, this is good.
That's what I needed. It's like, it just saves me scrolling stuff. It's like, I remember we had this conversation with Paul like back in the Statware days around, like apps are going to get ridiculous in like the amount, something that would have been cost you like 250 grand, 500 grand previously to build, you're probably going to build for like a weekend's activity. Yeah. Because it's going to be easy enough. I mean, this is the sort of thing, like, I could probably spin this up into like one of the best army building apps for the community. It probably won't. Yeah. But I sort of built it without looking at it in the morning, like whilst I did other stuff on the side to use that afternoon. Yeah. It's like, that's kind of cool. You can do that for all sorts of things.
There's so many side quests that are possible. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you got, like, I was talking to somebody who was organising an event, and it's like, it can be a bit stressful to organise an event. And it's like, well, maybe we could have like, so this particular event, the Bush Bash, is like, you don't have any, there's no tickets and there's no registrations for anybody. And the point of that is that you shouldn't, like, we don't want anyone to feel like they have to come. Like, it's in the ethos of like a Bitcoin event where, but it just makes it so much harder to do this sort of stuff. But what you could do is you could have somebody, like, I don't know, maybe you could have like everybody just do like some sort of encrypted sign up. Yeah. So you can say like, I'm planning on coming, or I'm 50% likely to be there, and I've got no idea who you are. Like, there's nothing traceable about this, but I know you're linked to like a unique Nostr ID or something like this. That might be useful for just counting people that are likely to turn up to stuff.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Like, but like, why would you build that? Like,
yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe I just do it on the side.
You could just spin that
all
up.
the stuff's there. We just make it, and then because everybody already has all their IDs for Nostr anyway, they can just log into it, and it works.
Yeah, but it's easy enough to, or straightforward enough to stand that up for one event. You don't, like in the past, you would have to think about like, okay, well, is there a market for this thing? How many events do we get this out to? How many people would find this valuable? Or like before you even start to think about how do we go and build it, it's like, is there a need for this beyond myself? Whereas now you could just build it for yourself and
you start to build stuff because like, it'd be nice if that existed.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, which is just, there's no commercial
animus
worry, animus, and that perverts stuff. Because if if you're going to build that sort of event management thing, then you probably you go down the path of like, all right, well, who's going to pay for this? Is it going to be the user or the person? I need a big market. I need to lock everybody in. I can't share stuff. It's
it's painful. Yeah.
Whereas this could be like a single use app that you just send out a link, people log in, this is like, we'll generate a new identity based off your identity, and then that identity signs up and just says like, so it's like a child key of your key sort of thing.
So who should think about coming out to do a vibe coding workshop? Like, who is like best suited to this? Is like just anybody who has some remote interest in learning how to code? Or is there like...
Yes, but also I would say anybody that runs a business. Because if you run a business, you are by definition, you're going to get very impacted by AI, and you need to understand it. And the single best way to understand this, like soup to nuts, is going to be to learn how to code with it. I think you will get the whole shebang, because you'll go from like just asking questions to AI to having them do things on your behalf and act as tiny minions. And I think certainly if you're used to, like working with people and giving them instructions, you'll actually be fairly good at it. And you'll start to see like, oh shit, like, so I could get, I think when we say these vibe coding workshops, like coding an app would be like the first bit. Like then maybe like kicking off the workflow that takes your app and reviews it and then improves it itself by talking to 4 different agents in a row while you just sit there. Would also be quite an aha moment to go, oh, I see what you meant when you meant you could like run processes in this. So he's just a guy that is like a bit of a dick about everything and is critical, and then he's a guy that's quite positive and looks for solutions. And then this guy's the pragmatist that comes in at the end and puts it all together and actually fixes the stuff. It's like I've got people like that in my business. I've got a dick and a pragmatist. And they do work quite nicely together. It does take all types, doesn't it? And you'd be like, yes, it does. So I think like business owners and entrepreneurs, and then I think just anybody that's like, as you say, is like really into wanting to understand how this stuff works. It's not really about wanting to be able to be a developer, because you're not going to be a developer at the end of this. What you're going to be is somebody that's very capable at using AI tooling, and like almost all AI tooling, and you will get to know the good stuff.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. That was accidental.
That's very good.
But it's true. Like there's like, as with anything, there's the tools that you know about, there's the tools that you'll get told about, and then there's the tools that people actually in the know use. Like I it's getting to the point where I will only ever use like ChatGPT or Claude if I just have a very, very simple question. Like I almost, like if you looked at my Claude history, it's basically like, what's the git command for this again? Like how do I do that? Like what, when I'm in the terminal and I press like, what's the what's the syntax? It's just like reminding me of shit I can't remember. It doesn't do any interesting work for me anymore. That's all done by the agents these days. Like even like the deep research stuff, which I thought was amazing like maybe a year ago, it's like, well, I can just give it an agent and do it in Wingman. Like that request could have been a Wingman.
That request could have been
that assistant employee of yours could have been a Wingman. That employee could have been a Wingman.
I do think the other benefit for business owners is just to come and see this stuff for yourself. Because you will get like co-opted by the noise. I think a lot of people will tell you, it's a bubble, or it can't do like certain things just yet, or it's still really basic, or it still makes mistakes and it hallucinates, and like, all of that noise. I think just come and like see what's possible and start to play and start to learn, because even if there are constraints technically around what you can achieve with this stuff right now, it's the worst it'll ever be. So you may as well get across it now. Because it's not stopping.
Well, and if you can have this thing build apps on your behalf, it can write a document on your behalf.
Exactly.
Like it can format stuff, it can make decisions, it can.
We did a whole episode on non-code use cases, so you might want to go check that out. I can't remember the number, 26, something like that.
I don't know.
It wasn't that long ago.
I should listen to it for some.
Because it's been, I mean, I use it for non-coding tasks all the time. It's great. Because basically every
yes, I remember the episode.
Every challenge that I come across now, everything I want to do, I'm like, I wonder if I could just do this in Claude code.
Could this be a Wingman?
Could it be a Wingman? That's it. I mean, just using it to help me organize my taxes recently. I think I talked about that one. So it didn't submit my taxes, obviously, but it helps me speed up all of the manual administrative parts of getting everything organized and presentable and understanding all of the financials for the last year. It was handy. It was very good, and that sped that up by about, I don't know, 20-fold. It was ridiculous. So that's the aim of the game. And again, that's just me wondering, I wonder if I could just use it for this. And you just ask yourself the question, you start playing with it and seeing what's possible, and before you know it, you've got a little solution. It's fun.
That's nice.
So we've got a whole episode on that, I think. Can't remember what number it was, but
I think you're right.
non-code
It was
use
a
cases.
few ago.
It was a few ago, yeah.
25, 26, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and even those are fairly arbitrary use cases, but there's just so many
Yep.
that you can turn to. Even inside, like especially inside of business, there's just so many things you can start to turn into these.
Well,
Give it to Wingman.
I know in like episode 22, which should always have been episode 21, but episode 21B.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what we should have called it.
with Jeff.
No, this one was with Gigi.
Oh, Gigi, that's right. Yeah.
And he was asking about like different areas, and I said, look, there's a lot of businesses that resolve around the idea of somebody emails in information to a chair, and then the person in the chair does some stuff and then emails it back to somebody else in a chair.
Yes.
And like, I honestly think a lot of these things are wide open.
Yep, I agree.
Like it's no longer like an issue for a computer to have information trapped in a document or trapped in a spreadsheet or trapped in a database. Like they can talk to all of it.
Yeah.
Which means that we can automate a lot more stuff than we used to be able to. Which means that we can free people up to do higher value tasks.
Yeah.
Like podcasting by the beach.
Exactly. I think that's pretty good. I think we're probably at our designated hour.
Sounds good. All right. That's the good stuff.